And welcome back. Now, the South African Police Service has been widely criticised for an apparent failure to compensate victims of the Marikana Massacre, with advocacy organisations also raising questions over the progress of the NPA's investigations into the tragedy. And last Friday marked the 7th anniversary of the killing of 34 miners by police armed with automatic rifles in the Northwest Province in that mining area. A total of 44 people, including 2 police officers, were killed in the wage-related violence at Marikana. And to talk to us now about this is Police Minister Bheki Cele, who is in studio. Thanks so much for coming through this morning, Minister.
Good morning.
And I really appreciate you coming forward to, respond to some of these allegations that are being leveled about slow progress with regard to the compensation of Marikana victims. But I want to start, I listened to you last year on a radio show when you were talking, and that was about a year ago exactly, about the Marikana situation. And you said, and I want to quote you, we are not far from honouring and completing the recommendations by the Farlam Commission of Inquiry. So how much progress have you made since then?
There will be 2 lines of progress internally in the police and in terms of compensation. As a South African police, it might not be enough. We have looked at it. First thing that we tried is to avoid any confrontation, any litigation, any court action. Try to be sensitive as we can. Up to this point, without breaking down, the South African police has paid almost 179 million towards the compensation account. We can go back to break down which category and all that, but all people that were killed and shot by the police, 34 of them have received their compensation. I understand that there are complaints that is not enough and all that kind of thing. People are really looking at it. Yes, we are on the negotiations, but that has been done. All people died on that day. And those that got injured and for that they lost the income, that has been done to pay. The argument would be still those that they were arrested, complain about unlawful arrest and the brutality. Those are still argued. But to say nothing has been done is not true.
So just to bottom line that, the 34 people who were killed on the 16th of August 2012, their families have been compensated in full?
I hope so, because I signed the agreement, the authority of that man, on the 27th of July last year. But the money would be paid to their attorneys, not direct to them by ourselves. So maybe if it has reached, let me accept that, concede that we did not monitor that portion if it does reach individual victims. But the money by the South African police has been paid to the attorneys of the victims.
And then the rest, as you had indicated, of course, there are issues of investigations that may be pending in certain instances. With regard to the monitoring of that, would it be a similar concession that you're making?
Well, we believe that their representative, the union itself, the attorneys, they will be fair enough that once the money is paid to them, does not belong to them, the money belongs to the families. The minimum money that was paid there, it was calculated on a basis of how much you would have lost in terms of your age, your skills, your dependents and all. So the money is about 120 to about 4 million. Individual getting anything in between that one. We hope that money has reached its final destination. But from the South African police, it was paid started paid August 2018.
So can we give an undertaking, you and I this morning, Minister, that we will go back and check and come and report back to the South African public with definite figures of what was paid to whom and why?
That will be correct. We don't have a problem with that, but we'll have to be also helped and question the attorneys that received the money if the money has reached its destination.
Absolutely.
But I agree that we also have a responsibility of checking if the money, as South African police, has reached its final destination.
All right. And just moving from that, there was, of course, a litany of recommendations by the Farlam Commission regarding the police. Now, let's start on the question of leadership, because poor leadership was cited as one of the reasons why things went awry on that particular day. Now, the culture of accountability and good leadership, how has the police dealt with that in the aftermath of that Farlam inquiry?
Maybe the side issue before I reach that one. It was a bad thing that 10 people that died, thanks that you mentioned them, because South Africa tends to forget about 10 people that died before that fateful 16th of August. There were no recommendation of compensation. Among them, there were 2 South African police members on that. So we are trying to improve their compensation to be part of the families that lost as the members of the South African police. So I want to make that point, that the South African police are working on that. But coming back to the question that you are raising, I don't know what happened on the day. Yes, again, I was not there. I was out of the South African police then, and I was watching on TV. The first thing, as a person that works with the police and have a little bit understanding of something called command and control, I don't know why the special forces were put in front of the POP, public order policing, on that particular day. The people that were put in front of that, they're not issued with rubber bullets, they're not issued with tear gas and everything. They are the final line of moving and make sure that that thing happened. I don't know what happened on the command on that day. Maybe Farlam starts from there to say it was a wrong command on that particular day. And then recommendations were made. One recommendation that was made is that such situation at all time, material time, must be handled by POP, public order policing. Whether fees must fall, whether labor issues, unless it's an issue of high crime like a cash heist and all that, where you send those guys that were sent that day, particularly that day in Marikana. Secondly, were the figures of the POP, the numbers that were there. It was suggested that we need to train more. By that time, we had about 4,000 of them. I agree, we were quite slow. We're having 6,877 members of the POP now. We think our ultimate number will have to be 12,000 to be able to handle things in the whole country in a proper way. So we have begun to implement Farlam Commission recommendation, especially on the training, the numbers, and the relevant bodies to respond on relevant situations.
So, Minister, you say you also don't know, you don't understand what happened on that day. But what about the accountability then of those who were fingered by the Farlam Commission to be held accountable? Also the fact that some were pointed out as trying to mislead the Commission during the evidence-giving process. Have they been held accountable?
Well, there are people that are in court, but I understand your question will be like many South Africans to say, is that enough? I don't think it's enough. Let me be straight on that one. I don't think it's enough. Some further investigations will have to be made to say where the commanders on that day were only people responsible for that. Personally, I don't believe so. I think further investigations will have to be made that and find what happened the previous night before the actual day and all that, statements made in that particular morning, and where did that statement come. I know that there were meetings before that day and decisions were taken. I know that some of those decisions were changed after some, I guess, correct decisions were taken. All those things will have to be investigated going forward, and I'm sure that would be fair to do.
In fact, I'm going to ask you more about that. We just want to go to news headlines, and then we'll come back to this, Minister. Speaking to Minister Bheki Cele, the Minister of Police, and interrogating, what has been done since the Farlam Commission handed over its findings of what happened at the Marikana Massacre. Right now, though, let's get your news headlines with Leanne.